My daughter-in-law Harper stood in front of me, holding out her hand with a sharp, impatient look. "You're too old to drive. Give me your car keys," she said, as if she were doing me a favor. I felt my heart sink, but I handed them over without arguing. She smirked and slipped them into her pocket. I sat there feeling small and embarrassed, wondering how I had become someone she thought she could control. The next morning, a brand new Mercedes pulled into my driveway. Harper rushed outside, thinking it was for her. The driver stepped out and said, "I'm looking for Miss Lena Rowan. Your $80,000 payment cleared." Harper froze, staring at the man like she had seen a ghost. She had no idea who sent it, and neither did I. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment where you are watching from. My name is Lena Rowan. I'm 68 years old, and after losing my husband, I have done my best to keep my independence. I still cook my meals, care for my home, drive myself to the grocery store, and spend time gardening in the backyard. My life has never been fancy, but it has always been steady. I try to stay active and capable because I never wanted to depend on anyone. My son Gavin loves me, but he works long hours and rarely sees what happens at home. His wife Harper is the one who steps in most of the time, and she does it with a tone that makes me feel like a child rather than a grown woman who has lived a full life. She talks to me as if I can't make simple decisions. She gives instructions instead of suggestions. She acts as though every responsibility she takes on is a burden she must carry. Lately, she has become more controlling. She tells me when to rest, what I should eat, and how often I should leave the house. She comments on the way I fold towels and the way I drive, insisting I am slowing down, even though I still see and react just fine. Gavin never questions her, because he trusts she has good intentions. I try not to argue because I don't want to create tension between them, but the truth is, her words often sting. Things got worse after she came to visit one afternoon. She sat down across from me with a serious look and said, "Gavin and I decided you should stop driving at night. It's not safe." I took a breath and told her I had no trouble seeing the road. She shook her head and answered, "That's what all older people say right before they cause an accident." Her tone was firm and final. I wanted to defend myself, but she spoke faster, louder, and with more confidence than I could match. I felt tired from constantly being questioned, so I let many comments slide. I thought ignoring things would keep peace in the family, but Harper took my silence as permission to push further. When she asked for my keys and claimed I was too old to drive, she wasn't asking. She was taking. Gavin stood behind her with a worried expression, but he said nothing. I looked at both of them and felt completely outnumbered. I handed the keys over because I didn't have the strength to argue anymore. That night, I sat by my bedroom window, wondering if I had made a mistake. Losing my keys felt like losing a part of myself. I had always been proud of handling things on my own. Now I felt like my independence was slipping away, piece by piece, every time Harper decided I wasn't capable. But I had no idea that by the next morning, everything would change. The day after I handed over my car keys, the house felt quieter than usual, almost like it was waiting for me to admit defeat. I tried to distract myself by cleaning the kitchen, but every time I opened a drawer or walked past the garage door, I felt a sharp reminder that Harper had taken something deeply important from me. It wasn't just a set of keys. It was freedom. It was the ability to leave the house when I wanted, grocery shop on my schedule, or visit my friend Helen without asking someone for a ride. Every chore that used to feel easy suddenly felt like a challenge. Around noon, I tried calling Gavin to tell him how I felt, but he answered in a rushed voice from work and said, "Mom, we're just trying to keep you safe." He spoke like the decision had already been made, like there was no room for my side of the story. I wanted to explain that nothing was wrong with my driving, but before I could say more, he said he had to get back to a meeting. When I hung up, the loneliness hit hard. I walked to the living room chair and sat down slowly, asking myself when my own life had stopped belonging to me. Later that afternoon, Harper showed up without warning. She walked into my kitchen carrying a reusable shopping bag and placed it on the counter. "I grabbed groceries for you," she said. "You don't need to be out driving around." Her words were sharp, but she delivered them like she was doing charity work. I thanked her politely and reached for the bag, trying to stay calm. She watched me with a satisfied expression, as if she had completed an important task. "Also," she continued, "Gavin and I will keep your car at our place. We don't want you tempted to use it." I felt a sting in my chest. Tempted, as if I were a child about to break a rule. I tried to keep my voice steady as I said, "I only gave you the keys because I didn't want to argue. I'm still able to drive." Harper laughed lightly, shaking her head. "You keep saying that, but that's not how this works anymore." She picked up her purse and walked toward the door. "We're helping you. You should appreciate it." As soon as she closed the door, my eyes filled with tears. I never imagined my own daughter-in-law would talk to me like that, or strip away something so basic from my life. I spent the rest of the day wondering how I would tell my brother Miles what had happened. He had warned me more than once about letting Harper push me around, but I always tried to see the good in people. That night, I finally called him. As soon as he heard the crack in my voice, he said, "Lena, what did she do now?" I took a slow breath and told him the whole story. He didn't respond right away, and for a moment, I thought the call had dropped. Then he said, "She took your keys so she could take your car. She has been trying to control you for years. This was her chance." His anger wasn't loud, but it was firm. "You need someone in your corner. You need to remember who you are. You're not helpless." His words hit me harder than Harper's comments ever did, because they came from love, not criticism. After speaking with Miles, I sat awake thinking about Raymond, my late husband's closest friend. At the funeral, he told me quietly, "Your husband trusted you more than anyone. If you ever feel cornered, call me." At the time, I didn't understand what he meant, but now the meaning became painfully clear. I grabbed the small card he had given me and stared at his number. My hand trembled slightly as I dialed. When he answered, his voice was steady and warm. "Lena, are you all right?" The moment he asked the question, everything inside me broke. I said, "Raymond, I think I need help." I told him everything, every detail I had held inside, every word Harper had said, every moment I felt my independence slipping away. Raymond listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, in a calm, certain tone, "I knew something like this might happen. Your husband asked me to watch out for you because he worried people would underestimate you. You were never meant to handle this alone." His words wrapped around me like a lifeline. Before I could ask what he meant, he added, "Get some sleep tonight. Tomorrow things will start changing. You have my promise." When I hung up the phone, I felt something I had not felt in weeks. Hope. I had no idea what he planned, but for the first time since losing my keys, I believed I would get my strength back. I woke up the next morning with a strange mix of nervousness and calm, the kind you feel when you know something important is about to happen, even if you have no idea what it is. Raymond's words from the night before replayed in my mind. Tomorrow, things will start changing. I trusted him, because he had always been the kind of man who kept his promises, the kind my husband admired deeply. I dressed slowly, brushed my hair, and opened the curtains to let the morning light in. I tried to keep myself busy while waiting, but every small task reminded me of how controlled my life had become without my keys. making breakfast, checking the mailbox, folding laundry. All of it felt like proof that Harper believed I couldn't handle my own life anymore. Around 9, I heard the sound of a car engine outside. It was deeper and smoother than any car I was used to hearing. I stepped onto the porch just as a sleek black Mercedes turned into my driveway. The sun reflected off. The hood in a soft way, not flashy, just impressive. At first, I stood completely still, trying to make sense of the scene. Harper walked out of her house next door at the same moment, her face twisting with confusion. She walked toward the car quickly, her smile wide and greedy. She was convinced it was for her. She even waved at the driver and said, "You can leave it right here." But the driver did not look at her. He looked at me. "Good morning. I'm here for Miss Lena Rowan," he said. The calm way he said my name made Harper stop mid-step. She stared at him with disbelief, then stared at me as if waiting for someone to explain why the world had turned upside down. The driver approached with a folder in his hand. "This vehicle has been purchased in your name. I was told to place the keys directly in your hand." He opened the folder and showed me a completed payment form with my name clearly printed on it. The number made my breath catch. $80,000. A full payment. No loan, no conditions. Just paid. Harper's mouth dropped open and she whispered, "What is this?" As if she had discovered something dangerous. She looked from the papers to the car, then to me, trying to piece together a story that made sense to her. I took the keys slowly, still unsure how to react. "Who arranged this?" I asked the driver. He smiled politely. "A Mr. Raymond Ortiz. He said you would understand." I did understand, not fully, but enough to feel tears gathering in my eyes. This was what Raymond meant when he said my husband left instructions. This wasn't a random act of kindness. This was something planned, something meant to protect me, something my husband had set in motion long before Harper ever demanded my keys. Harper finally found her voice, and it came out sharp. "She doesn't need a car like this. She can't drive something this expensive. There must be some mistake." She looked at the driver as if she could intimidate him into agreeing. "You can't just hand a car like this to someone her age." The driver kept his tone calm. "This is a private delivery, ma'am. All paperwork has been verified." Her face turned red, and she took a step toward me. "Lena, you can't accept this. You won't even use it. This is ridiculous." For the first time in a long time, I felt something steady rise inside me, a quiet strength I thought I had lost. I stepped closer to her and said, "You told me I was too old to drive. You took something from me that wasn't yours to take. Today, I'm taking it back." She blinked, as if she didn't recognize me. She wasn't used to me pushing back. She wasn't used to me sounding sure of myself. She looked at the Mercedes again, her expression filled with anger she didn't know how to hide. "Where did the money come from?" she demanded. Before I could answer, Raymond's truck pulled into the driveway. He stepped out with a steady stride and a warm expression. "From your husband," he said. "From a man who trusted his wife more than anyone." Harper spun toward him, her voice shaky. "You can't just buy her a car. You're interfering." Raymond folded his arms calmly. "I'm doing exactly what he asked me to do. He wanted her to live freely, not under anyone's control." Harper looked stunned, unable to argue with someone who knew the truth. In that moment, everything shifted. Control moved back where it belonged. I felt seen. I felt respected. And for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Raymond walked toward us with a steady confidence that immediately changed the energy around the driveway. Harper's anger dimmed the moment she saw him, as if she realized she was facing someone who wouldn't bend to her demands or be fooled by her sweet tone. He gave me a warm nod and said, "Lena, I'm glad it arrived on schedule." Hearing that confirmed what the driver had said, but it still didn't feel real. I looked down at the keys in my hand and then back at Raymond. Why would you do something this big for me? He shook his head gently and said, This wasn't from me alone. This was from your husband. The world seemed to pause as he said those words. My breath caught in my throat. Harper stepped closer, her voice rising with panic. What do you mean from her husband? He's gone. He didn't buy her a Mercedes. He didn't have that kind of money lying around. Raymond didn't even look at her. He kept his eyes on me with a calm seriousness. He didn't buy the car. He left instructions with me. Money he saved from the land sale he never told anyone about. He asked me to hold on to it and use it only if the time came when you needed to be protected or supported. My heart pounded as I tried to remember the land sale from years ago. All I remembered was my husband saying it hadn't gone through. I believed him without question. Raymond continued, He did sell that land. He told you it fell through because he didn't want anyone asking for pieces of it. He didn't want anyone influencing how he planned to use the money. Harper let out an angry laugh, trying to dismiss what she was hearing. Why would he hide that from everyone? Why would he choose her for something so important? Raymond finally turned his eyes toward her, and his expression sharpened. Because she was his wife for over 40 years. Because he knew how to read people, and because he trusted her more than he trusted anyone else. Harper's face tightened. He trusted me, too, she insisted. Raymond's voice stayed calm. He trusted you to treat her with respect. He trusted his son to protect his mother. But he also told me he feared there would come a day when someone would try to control her. He asked me to watch for that. I felt my throat tighten as the truth settled in. My husband, even in his final years, had been thinking ahead in ways I never imagined. He had seen what I refused to see. Raymond reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Your husband wrote this 2 months before he passed. I was told to give it to you only when I felt you needed it. My hands shook slightly as I opened the letter. Inside was my husband's familiar handwriting. He wrote about how proud he was of me, how strong he always believed I was, and how he feared I would shrink myself after he was gone. He wrote, If someone tries to take your freedom, this money will help you stand on your own. I want you to live, Lena. I want you to keep moving forward. Tears blurred the words as I realized how deeply he knew me. He saw how much I depended on him emotionally, and he wanted to leave me with more than comfort. He wanted to leave me with strength. Harper took a step toward me, desperation replacing anger. Give me that letter. I want to see what really happened. I took one step back, holding the letter close. No, she froze, surprised by how firm my voice sounded. I looked her directly in the eyes. You took my keys because you wanted my car. You said you were helping me, but you were helping yourself. You tried to make me believe I couldn't take care of myself. Harper's lips trembled, but she stayed silent. I continued. My husband trusted me to stand up for myself. Today, I am doing exactly that. Gavin walked out of the house just then, holding his phone and looking confused. What's going on? He asked. Harper rushed to him, grabbing his arm. Your mother is lying. She made up some story about your father hiding money and buying her a car. Raymond stepped in calmly. Your father asked me to protect her. This was his plan. Gavin's expression softened as he looked at the car, the letter in my hand, and the firm stance I held. Slowly, he said, I think Dad would have done that. Harper spun toward him in disbelief. You're taking her side? Gavin's shoulders sagged. I'm choosing what's right. Harper's face twisted with shock, and she stepped back as if she had been slapped. She realized her power was slipping away, not because of me, but because the truth had finally surfaced. The Mercedes sat shining in the driveway, not as a symbol of wealth, but as a reminder that love can protect even after someone is gone. In that moment, everything shifted. Control returned to its rightful place, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had won something far more important than an argument. I had won myself back. When the truth settled over the driveway, it felt like the air changed. Harper stood stiff and pale, unable to argue or twist the story in her favor. Gavin stared at the letter in my hands with a quiet sadness, the kind a child feels when they realize they missed signs that were in front of them all along. I didn't blame him. He was busy, distracted, and had always believed Harper's confidence came from concern instead of control. He stepped toward me with a softness I had not seen in years and said, "Mom, I'm sorry. I should have listened before." Those simple words finally allowed something locked inside me to loosen. I nodded, not wanting to shame him or make him feel worse. "You're here now," I said. "That matters." Harper's gaze shifted between us, her mouth tight with frustration. She tried to regain control by saying, "We were only trying to help." She misheard. She misunderstood. She's taking things personally. But Gavin didn't defend her this time. He didn't even look at her. He kept his eyes on me and said, "If Mom says something hurt her, it hurt her." That sentence hit Harper harder than anything I could have said. She opened her mouth to fight back, but nothing came out. She realized in that moment that she couldn't manipulate her way through this anymore. For years, I let her talk over me, dismiss me, and make me feel smaller than I was. But now, the wall she hid behind was falling apart. She walked away with tight steps, muttering to herself, but the victory she used to feel in moments like this was gone. She no longer held the power she thought she did. After she left, Raymond guided me to the porch steps and said, "Your husband trusted you with this gift because he knew you would use it to live, not to show off." I nodded, still feeling the weight of everything settling inside me. "He always believed in me," I said, "even when I didn't believe in myself." Raymond smiled. "He wasn't worried about you losing ability. He was worried about you losing confidence. That's why he planned ahead." His words warmed me more than anything else that day. Gavin sat beside me and studied the letter again. "Dad was smart," he said. "He saw things clearly." I answered softly. "He saw people's hearts better than anyone." Gavin swallowed hard, understanding more than he wanted to admit. "Harper shouldn't have taken your keys. That wasn't her choice." I looked him in the eye and said, "I never needed perfection from you. I only needed to be heard." He nodded slowly, the regret on his face clear, but so was the determination to do better going forward. Over the next week, things shifted gently into a healthier rhythm. Harper kept her distance, no longer barging into my home or giving me instructions disguised as help. She didn't speak to me unless necessary, and while part of me felt the loss of peace that used to exist in name only, I also felt relieved. Without her controlling presence, I remembered what it felt like to breathe freely in my own home. Gavin visited often, checking in sincerely rather than out of obligation. He helped me install a small camera above the garage for safety and asked if I wanted help choosing a phone holder for the new car. He wasn't overbearing. He just offered support, and I could choose what I wanted. That was all I ever needed. The Mercedes sat in my driveway like a quiet promise. Not a flashy trophy, but a reminder of love planned with care. The first time I drove it, I sat behind the wheel with my hands resting lightly on the leather, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. I started the engine, and the smooth hum felt comforting, not overwhelming. I drove through my neighborhood, not fast, not dramatic, just steady. I waved at the neighbors, rolled down the window for some fresh air, and realized I didn't feel old or incapable. I felt alive, My husband's letter stayed in the glove compartment, not because I needed proof of anything, but because it felt like he was still riding with me, offering one last piece of guidance whenever I needed strength. As weeks passed, my confidence returned in small ways. I began grocery shopping again, meeting my friend Helen for lunch, and even taking weekend drives to the nearby lake. My life didn't transform overnight, but the quiet chains that had been placed on me were gone. I didn't need to argue to win. The truth had spoken for me. The lesson I learned was simple but powerful. Independence is not about age. It is about knowing your own worth and refusing to let anyone take it away. My husband understood that, and because he did, I found myself again. I stood taller, walked with purpose, and reclaimed the life I thought was slipping from my hands. And for the first time since losing him, I felt at peace. His final gift wasn't the car. It was the reminder that I mattered, that my voice mattered, and that I was capable of living fully, no matter what anyone else believed. Before you go, remember to subscribe to my channel and comment where you are watching from.